What's going on, guys? I'm Tommy and I'm coming at you with an action figure review. Today I'm going to be reviewing Hasbro The Black Series Grogu from The Mandalorian and Grogu. I absolutely loved The Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and I was wondering if there was going to be a single packed release of one of the titular characters for the Black Series line, and I was really excited to see that become the case with the figure that was included with the deluxe Mandalorian being in a fixed pose. I'm glad that we have more of an independent figure release for Grogu from this film. Grogu is kind of a mainline release for the Black Series here in 2026. I picked up this one on an order through Hasbro Pulse. This guy didn't really have a pre-order window, he just kind of went up in stock. I do also know that he became available on Target's website. Not sure if he's going to be available at any other major retailers here in the United States. Grogu comes in the standard style of Black Series packaging here in 2026 with a little bit of a twist. Obviously, him being a smaller character and having a lower price point, he does feature some smaller packaging. On the front of the box here, we do have our Black Series logo. We also have a big plastic window showing you the figure and all of his accessories. Over here in vertical text, you have the character name, as well as a nice little banner in that indigo color below the window, representing the subline for the film. Some of our logos in legalese down at the bottom. On this side of the box, I love that they included a miniature version of the mural art for the character. Definitely love the staff as well. Such a great inclusion. I'll probably end up displaying him that way on my shelf. You can also see the character name down at the bottom. On the back of the box here, where we would usually have, numbering and things like that, we just have all our legalese. Guys, please don't feed this action figure to your babies, alright? On this side of the box, we have our wraparound window, wraparound banner, and the Disney logo. On the bottom of the box, we have even more legalese, and on the top, we have, once again, the Black Series logo. So with that, I actually really enjoy the packaging on this little guy, so let's get him opened and we'll check him out. Alrighty, here is our little Grogu out of the box. Now, before we take a look at the figure, let's of course take a look at all his accessories he comes with. So, setting Grogu off to the side, the first thing I want to point out is this little staff that he carries. He picks this up on Nal Hutta when Mando is injured and Grogu kind of goes on his own little adventure. We get some great character building moments for Grogu through visual storytelling. I absolutely loved it. This staff is just done in a brown color sculpt. There's no paint apps or weathering applied to it whatsoever. It's also very malleable. As you can see, you don't have to worry about this being brittle or snapping if it were to, God forbid, take a shelf dive or something. A very iconic accessory for Grogu that I'm glad they included here are his little case of macaroons. You can see they did paint a little bit of light blue on the top of the packaging there to show that it is open and he's ready to start snacking on those macaroons. And then the rest of the sculpt itself is just in a silver colored plastic. This actually looks better than some of the silvers they've done on the very bland, dull looking lightsaber hilts in the Black Series lately. And then finally here we have an accessory that is also specific to the Mandalorian and Grogu film, that being this little fish that he steals from the dragon-looking creature on Nal Hutta. You can see there is a little bit of exposed flesh that they did paint on there, as well as some striping on the top of the fish. I wasn't expecting that to be included, but it's a very cool inclusion. It's also got some nice sculpted texture for the fish scales. Overall, this is a really nice accessory, and I'm very impressed with the amount of sculpted and painted detail they packed into such a small piece. So like I said at the beginning of the review, I am super excited that they did include a standalone Grogu release from this movie, mainly because for me, Grogu shows himself as a very independent character in this film, and it was really cool in the sequences on Nal Hutta to see how much he's grown as a character. Grogu has some pretty basic sculpted and painted detail here. You can see they did pack a lot in at the face with a nice glossy black for the eyes, some pink around the eyes and at the areas of the cheeks. You can also see they did a lot of printing for the hair on the top and back of his head. I think that detail comes across really nicely. It doesn't seem like it's too much. Seems to be a little bit of paint bleed though on mine on the back of the left ear. As for Grogu's burlap sack that he wears, that's very basic. I do like, however, how they sculpted it. They included a lot of sculpted detail with the folds and wrinkles of that burlap to really give some nice depth and texture to the sculpt itself. You can see they did include very subtle paint apps to both the collar and the ends of the sleeves here for Grogu. Those are in just a little bit of a lighter shade than the sculpt itself, and I think it just adds a little bit of subtle detail that this type of release needs. In addition to that, we also have a new piece. I don't believe this has ever been shown on a Black Series Grogu before, and I'm very excited that they included it for this Mando and Grogu version. We have his little satchel that he carries on his side. This entire piece seems to be done in brown plastic. You can see they did also paint on his little cylinder that he uses to drink water from in the movie, and they did also paint on the silver for his Mudhorn signet with his Beskar armor on the front that the armorer gave him in Season 3 of The Mandalorian. And then, as I had mentioned, it's pretty basic detail. Aside from that, you can see they did sculpt in the little green feet here, which do a good job of color matching the rest of his exposed skin, like his hands here, which are also done in just that green plastic. Overall, some pretty basic detail for this character, but I think they hit all the details they needed to with this kind of character. An awesome detail as well is that you can technically remove this overlay from the figure. It sits loosely on the figure. However, I'd imagine you probably have to pop out the arms and pop the head off to actually get it off. Plus, with this specific look, this is how I'd want him displayed anyway. Now, as far as Grogu's articulation goes, Hasbro did go ahead and update some of the tooling on this figure to give this guy some more in-depth articulation. We do have a ball joint at the head. You can see that ball joint goes into the top of the torso at the bottom of the neck, and it does give some basic range here. The high collar on the burlap is obviously going to limit that to a degree, but you can get him to look down ever so slightly. He can look up ever so slightly as well. You can get just a little bit of tilt, but you can obviously make him look right and left, which is good. And then at the shoulders here, this is the most impressive new addition of articulation. You have a hinge and swivel at the shoulders. For the first time ever, as far as I can remember, this is the first time we've had this kind of updated articulation on Grogu. So that hinge actually is going to get you to just above that 90-degree mark, which is very impressive for Black Series, and obviously it does swivel a full 360 degrees. Grogu does also have little ball joints at the wrists, so you can see you can get some nice circular motion here. Good to see ball joints on such a small character. Very happy about that. And then at the feet, we have again just some little ball joints here. You can't really utilize these points of articulation, so in my opinion at least, I wouldn't have minded if this was just all one sculpt, but it is nice that they do make the effort of making it its own separate pieces just to give that extra level of realism to the character. Now that we've covered the figure quickly, let's check out his accessories attached as well. So I did just want to show off the staff, which, like I said, this is probably how I'll end up displaying this guy. This staff fits, or walking stick I guess I'd call it, fits so nicely into the hand here. It does pass the shake test, and for such a small connection point at the hand there, I think it looks really good on the figure. This is 100% how I'm going to be displaying my Grogu. Of course, let's check him out with his fish in hand. It's actually pretty difficult to get Grogu to hold this fish. I do wish that it was kind of made to be held in his hand just a little bit better, but ultimately it is still a nice accessory, maybe to just have around him as a little world building piece. And then obviously we have our macaroons. I really hope that these fit in his hand. They do. They don't necessarily pass the shake test, but you can still get him, especially in that left hand, in a pretty natural looking holding pose there, and that's pretty nice for the shelf as well, considering how iconic the macaroons have become. And just to make a quick comparison of this Grogu with several other Black Series Grogus that have been released over the last 5 or 6 years, on the left, this is the single packed Grogu that they released for a full standard figure price. He includes the necklace and the hover pram. This one here is the one from the IG-12 Deluxe set that came out in 2025. On to the right here, we have the sitting Grogu, which came with the Mando and Ahsoka 3-pack, which was exclusive to Amazon a few years ago. And then on the right, this is the one from the Maldo Kryze Mando build-up pack that came with the Ice Spider. Of course, these aren't all the Grogus that have been released in the Black Series, but I think that this one feels the most definitive and actually looks a little bit bigger than the rest of the Grogus the Black Series has released. But with that, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this brief review on the new Black Series Grogu from the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I think this is definitely a very definitive Grogu figure, and I would argue it's one of the most definitive the Black Series has ever released. For $10, I think this is an absolute steal and definitely worth picking up for your collection, even if you're not a fan of the movie or if you haven't seen it yet for some reason. This is a great representation of Grogu all around. But with that, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this review. If you enjoyed and you're not yet subscribed, subscribe to Blitz Transmissions. I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. If you're an ARC Trooper in my Patreon, you would have seen this review early. If you'd like access to early content, monthly giveaways, and other awesome benefits, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. Become an ARC Trooper for just $4.99 a month. If you're a fan of the reviews I do on YouTube, or you just want to support the YouTube channel more directly, you could also check out the YouTube channel membership, Rancor Battalion. For just $99 99 cents a month, you get exclusive badges, priority replies in the comment section, you get exclusive emojis, and so much more. So make sure to check that out, along with links to the merch, the Discord, and all my social media. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll catch you for the next one, and may the Force be with you.
Breaking off. All units, fire at will. 1-2, pick a target. Too many, Captain. Watch your stabilizer, Gold 6. Anybody cover me. I got 2 vultures on my tail. Gotta hold them here. Watch your left. I can't shake them. I'm hit. Where's our reinforcement?